Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Nashville,
It's the
Tennessee.
premiere.
We have a special guest tonight, Randy Patterson, joining us in tonight. It's going to be a great show.
Boomerosity podcast.
As we're getting ready to kick it off here. Trying to see where we're at. We are live. YouTube is pulling up now.
Yeah,
Folks, remember, put your comments in. Any comments or questions you have, you can put them on YouTube. You can send us a message. I've got TikTok.
Be careful what you ask for.
That's a great point. That's a great point that you made.
Right now on TikTok, we still have Dan Hicks 3.
Appreciate you, Dan.
Hanging in there with us.
Hanging in there.
That.
If we hadn't run you off now, we'll try to work on it.
Well, we will. Don't worry. We will. It's coming.
It's coming.
I think he may have set his phone down while he went to the restroom or to get a
I hear you.
sandwich.
Yeah, and he's just still on. I got you. Hey, what do you got now? You live everything?
We're good.
We're good to go?
Everything's live. We're ready to start.
All right. Let's do the intro, and then we'll get rolling.
Let's roll it.
World, this is Kevin from Fiction Factory, and you're listening to DC and DH on the DND Dynamite 80s podcast.
They have been best friends since childhood, played the same sports, attended the same schools, and now they even teach together. You're listening live from Nashville, Tennessee, DC, and DH on the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast. So, guys, take it away. Man, I love that guy's voice.
Yes, I don't know who that is, but he does a great job.
Pretty good job.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. As usual, DC throws us off to start with.
Oh,
we start off on the wrong foot and just keep rolling.
There you go.
Welcome in, though, to another night, another fun-filled look back at a fun decade of the 80s. DC, how's your week? Sometimes. We do a little bit of everything.
We're going to mix it up tonight. Yeah, we've gotten away from the 80s stuff all the time, and that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. We do what we do.
Yeah.
And we don't know what it is, but we just do it. It all works.
Go with it.
Yes. DC, how's your week been?
Hey, man, we
don't really care, DC. Let's just go ahead. I'm excited to get into this podcast tonight, DC. So I'm going to throw it over. Let's get the introduction going. Let's get Randy on here because we all know your week's this. It's a week. Let's move on.
Right. It's same old, same old. So there you go. Hey, we're honored to have Randy Patterson with us with Boomerosity podcast.
Yes.
And he's out of the Sevierville, Tennessee area, I think is correct. I read that somewhere. And Randy, I kind of lived in that neck of the woods for about 26 years. I've been back here in this area about 7, is it, DH? About 7 years.
Yeah, about 7, 6.5, 7.
Yeah, but I lived in Maryville for 20.
That's where I was born.
26 years. What about that? Small world. Yeah.
Merville. You've been out of town long enough. It's supposed to be Merville.
That's exactly right. I was trying to be correct, but that's how it actually is Marvel.
You're talking to a native here. Be real, man.
There we go. We'll keep it real then. By the way, DH, I love Randy's his Christmas tree in the background.
I was looking at that.
Is that not fantastic?
Awesome. Yeah.
Hey, did you see what the angel is?
I cannot.
I wish I could zoom in on this Zoom, but it is none other. I'll tell you what, I'll get up and I'll get it and I'll show it to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Just for you guys. I don't do
awesome.
This is
yes.
Awesome.
Hey.
Now that's
is
that not iconic? That is just unbelievable. That leads us into next week's show.
It's symbolic for a lot of ways, which I'm sure we'll get into in the chat, but I'll talk about that at the appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. This is the first time in the history of D&D Dynamite 80s we have the state of Tennessee 2/3 covered. We have the premier podcast out of Knoxville area.
Yep.
The premier podcast out of the Nashville
There you go.
area.
We just need to get Memphis on board.
Well,
do we really consider? I'm gonna commit.
Nah.
Do we really?
No, not really.
Memphis, but
that's a great point too. Yeah, I guess if they broke off and floated down the Mississippi, it kind of wouldn't matter.
Well, but Graceland's there. Graceland's
well,
there.
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
We'll keep Graceland and Stacked Records.
There we go. Yes, good. We can deal with that. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be
Randy, talk to us about Boomerosity and kind of the history of that deal, how you got it started and why you started and all that great stuff.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
It's a privilege. I've been looking forward to it. And I really appreciate the fact that you did the right thing and had Dave Lowry before me so that I could really show him up. So
there you go.
Dave's a good friend of mine. I love him dearly, and he's a lot of fun to hang with. A great musician, which I didn't find out about until last year. And oh my gosh, I wonder what other surprises he has. But
right.
And just the
kind of very smart, intelligent business guy too.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
He learned a lot from him. Yeah.
I actually met him. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. I met him for the first time when I reached out to him when he was handling the publicity and managing Damon Johnson, who at the time was one of Alice Cooper's guitarists.
Okay.
And we became friends at that point, stayed in contact with each other. And then at that time I was living in Dallas, and then I moved back here to God's country 10 years ago. But as far as the history of Boomerosity goes, it really kind of goes back to my, first of all, I'm in my 15th year of doing this. I launched it in 2009. April of 2009, and how it even got started is I was part of a committee for my high school reunion in Phoenix, Arizona, good old Moon Valley High School. And
all right.
And so that's where I grew up. I was born, as I said, I may have been pre-intro, but I was born in Maryville, Tennessee, just over on the other side of the mountain from where I live now. And I was working on this class reunion, one of the class reunions. I was on the committee for 4 of them over the years, and I did a lot of fun, nostalgic type of emails and promotions, and people really enjoyed it and said, man, you need to do something with your writing. And it wasn't an insult. They were actually complimenting me. And I thought, well, what can I write about? I can only write about what I'm passionate about. And at that point, writing wasn't really anything I gave much thought to, unless I was doing, business reports or, taking night classes or whatever. And that I love my generation. I love what it represents. And, I'm a baby boomer. I'm 64 years old. And, I just thought, well, I'll just do that, write a little. It started off as a little website for posting things that were kind of introspective, retrospective type of writings. And I would use titles of songs and lines from those songs to write about. And I thought, well, I'll interview a person or two. I had a couple contacts with a couple people, and I thought, I'll do that. And in a year's time, it'll probably just kind of crap out, and that'll be that. Well, at the end of my first year, I had 25 interviews, including Ace Frehley, Rob Parisi of Wild Cherry.
Wow.
A bunch of people. That's
a great start.
And I thought, well, I might be on to something. But,
right.
When I was looking to launch the website, though, I wanted something kind of unique. I was in Dallas at the time, and I was looking up with anything that had to do with the word boomer. And because where I lived at was real close to the Oklahoma state line, you had University of Oklahoma across the state line in Norman, and their big thing is Boomer Sooner. So all the good stuff was taken up,
just lined up,
for that sorry team.
Yeah,
a big waste of good, big waste of good domain names there. But so anyway, I saw this commercial one day for a famous online travel website, and I thought, what the heck is an osity? And it took me a while to find it, and it meant the essence of. I thought, Boomerosity, essence of being a baby boomer. And that's where it started. Nobody had cornered that name. I locked it in, and that's what it's been for almost 15 years.
And that's something.
Wow, that's a lot better than what we did.
Yeah.
See? I mean, we were really.
Yeah, we don't have a story that good.
No. Wow.
No.
Well, I don't know. I've read some of the bathroom walls around here, and I think there's some pretty good stories about both of you.
Well, there you go. That's probably real true.
That's probably true. I would say.
Oh man.
Just you just don't. You want to watch out which truck stops you go in there.
Right. Along 40.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got to ask this right off because I'm just that curious about it. What is you've had tons of different interviews, of course, through this deal. What's one of them that really sticks out to you, and why? What's one of them that tops out or close to the top?
Well, really, it was an interview I did before, years and years and years before I started Boomerosity. I was 13 years old. I lived in Phoenix. Went to Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Easter Sunday, 1973. And the concert was Elvis Presley.
Oh, wow.
And, the fact that I got to go because Mom had us in church every Sunday. And I thought when Elvis was coming, it was on a Sunday, and especially in Easter Sunday, there was no way in God's green earth she was going to let me go.
Right.
But she was an Elvis fan. I have her 45s that she had when she was a teenager. Wow. She passed away almost 6 years ago. But she said I could go on a couple conditions. One, I had to buy my own ticket, and it was the exorbitant price of $8.50. And and I had to be at church Sunday morning and Sunday night. Said, I think I can cut that. I think I can. So I went, got there 2 hours early, and I'm standing in front of the stage. And while I'm looking at it, that beautiful black guitar, that Gibson guitar that Elvis had with his name scripted on the neck.
Yes.
Looking at it, and I noticed movement to one side. I forget which side it was, and turned around and looked. And I said, "Are you Colonel Parker?" And he just nodded his head. I asked him, I don't know, 3 or 4 questions. And the last one was, "Can I go backstage and meet Elvis?" And he goes, "Nope." And he turned around and walked off. That was my first celebrity big time interview at the age of 13.
Right. Hey, you gave it the old college try, though.
Hey, well, I got him to answer me a couple times.
Right. So, and I bet he didn't answer several people through life.
Right. Yeah, well, maybe I had youth going for me.
Right.
But fast forwarding to after the launch of Boomerosity, gosh, guys, I've had the privilege of interviewing all sorts of people. And I've always just went after the people I thought were interesting, were talented, might be fun. And I've got to interview so many people that I listened to on the radio when I was a teenager. And to me, those were always the big thrills.
Sure,
and so I can't say I have a favorite, but I had a lot of fun ones, man. Some of them were epic. Some of them I thought, this is going down in flames. Like one of them was only 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. And it was It was Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. That was it. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But it was Brian Wilson. So.
Right.
That's right.
But a lot of fun ones. Some have passed since then, people like that. Like I did the last interview for Dan Peake of America.
Wow.
And that was quoted in a book on the band America. Some others, just the wide gamut, anywhere from classic rock to blues to country to R&B.
Right.
On and on. I love it all.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Randy, that I want to say. First off, watching some of your work, the thing that I really enjoy about it is you're when I'm watching something you're doing, it's more like you're just having that casual conversation and you're enjoying it. And that's kind of what we do.
Yep.
But I think what people don't realize is how much preparation you put in to have that casual conversation. So
what's this preparation you're talking about? I have no idea what
I don't know the word. That's DC's department. I just show up.
Right.
He sends me some cookies and puts them on my studio desk up here, and I show up.
Where's my cookies at?
Yeah.
Right, man. We got to send them over to Sevierville. Yeah.
Well, Lowry better not got any, and if I didn't. So.
Right. We're still promising Lowry's.
Right.
So, he ain't got them yet.
Hey, yes. Well, they're in the mail. We just don't know where they were
David,
sent.
they're in the mail. If you're watching, they're in the mail.
I think Randy may have intercepted the mailman, but they're there. He's having his coffee with the cookies. That's what it is.
They're good, Dave. Right. Wish you could have had some.
Too bad, David.
But I think that's the thing I really appreciate, because when I watch something like a podcast, a lot of times I get bored really quick. But when I watch something like that you do, it's a conversation that I can actually, and I'm like, it's like I'm right there having that conversation with you. So I know that takes a lot of work, but I just wanted to say I appreciate the work you do out there.
Well, it's a talent.
It is. It is.
Absolutely.
It's a talent we don't have.
That we don't have.
It is a talent.
Right.
Hey, now, come on. Don't sell yourself short. I've watched some of your interviews. You have some fun. You have some fun. Even with people like Dave. Dave's not going to get any rest tonight, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not going to get any cookies either. So
no,
because I got them.
Right. Right.
Well, to your point, it's, I don't know. It wasn't anything intentional. I think really, guys, some of these people just saw, I mean, when I first started out, I was going for the low hanging fruit, people that hadn't been heard from for a while. I mean, I think my first interview I reached out for and got was Barry McGuire, Eve of Destruction, kind of a 60s type guy.
Yeah.
A bit before, you guys were born, old farts like me know about him, but,
it wasn't much before us.
No, it wasn't.
But he was a fun interview, and it was two interviews that I mean, 2 calls I get to do with, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, stumbled through it. In fact, I have not gone back in a while to listen to that interview. I'm almost afraid to, but back then I recorded them on audio and then I would transcribe the interviews, which is a royal pain, especially when you got to sit there and listen to yourself talk and you go, oh my God, Patterson, just shut the heck up, But and I
some
still
of that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it, DH?
It does.
But I guess it's because these guys knew I wasn't with Rolling Stone magazine, thank God, or some big TV station. I was no threat, so they were very relaxed.
Exactly.
And over the years, I got more and more relaxed, and this is what you've got, But at the end of the day, it's all about them. And basic Dale Carnegie is you you ask them questions about themselves, let them talk, and after you leave, they say what a great conversationalist you are. So that's really it. That's just, try not to ask questions that haven't been asked or that's been asked a gazillion times. Sometimes you can't avoid it because you're on there to talk about a specific thing and they've, they're prepped to answer, the same question a million times.
Right.
So you can't avoid it, but sometimes you like to throw one at them that's, not an ambush question. I don't go negative with them, but just to talk about something, maybe if I know something about what they're doing for fun, I might ask them about that. Davy Jones, I asked about his horses, things like that.
Cool.
And I think that's the other thing.
That's great advice.
That draws
that
me
is
to your
great
podcast
advice.
is that you don't go negative or go after somebody.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a conversation. So it really, I mean, to be honest with you, when you listen to something like that, that's a 20, 30-minute break from life that you get.
That's right.
That's right. You don't have to think about what's going on in this world, and you can just enjoy something. So I really appreciate what you do on that.
Well, thank
you.
Thank you. I appreciate you noticing it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And DH, I think we're kind of on the right track with this because that's kind of our goal with some of the things he's saying.
DC, we might be on the right track, but the train left a long time
well,
ago.
That's true. You didn't have to say that part. I was trying to find a little positive. Then you shot that down.
The positive is we have Randy Patterson on our show.
Well, that's true. That's true.
The positive.
Oh, I bet you say that to all the boys.
Right.
Yeah, but only you got cookies, see, from DC.
And that's true.
But that's a great point that you bring up about having fun with it, because that's a lot of response we get back from guests that we have on here is that, guys, y'all were just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up not being intimidated or not asked something that they feel uncomfortable about because we're not going to go there. That's not the purpose that we have them on.
Right. Now, Randy, I have an important question that we've been trying to figure out. When did you know that you had made it, that Boomerosity had become a success? And because we're trying to figure that out. At what point did you know? We may never get there.
No.
Oh, come on. I mean, I guess first of all, it depends on how you define success. And for me, it's more about relational type of metrics instead of, I mean, sure, I'd love to have 500,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers. That'd be great. You know, money might be nice. I'm told it is. But I have no idea, believe me.
Right.
But how I define success for me personally is who did I manage to get access to?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, and if you told me 15 years ago, the people that I would wind up talking to and I mean, there's a little game I play with myself when I'm in the car. I have satellite radio on there, and I have all these presets, all the classic rock stations, you know, even the 80s one and blues station, the Elvis channel, all that.
Sure.
And I go through all the presets while I'm driving. I have certain rules, but the short version of it is, by the time I've gone through all those presets, how many artists, and I'll only give it, you know, if I come in the middle of the song, then I wait till the beginning of the next one. But the middle, you know, if I'm in the middle of one, it counts. But how many artists did I have connection with, either through an interview or meeting them since Boomerosity started? How many do I catch on sat radio? And it never fails. It's always at least 5 by the time I get through.
Awesome.
And to me, that's a thrill because, you know, I remember as a kid, 16 years old, driving to work in, you know, West Phoenix. Back then it was cotton fields and such, heading to Sun-Made Grocery in Peoria, Arizona, and listening to Gary Wright or the Rolling Stones or, you know, Toto, Aerosmith, and, you know, all these people that I got to have some, you know, either got to meet and or interview. And today, here I am 64, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, I'm just a fan. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a DJ. I'm just a fan like everybody else. My opinion doesn't mean jack. So I don't give an opinion about the music if I review the music or the concert. I'll say, hey, if you like this, then you're going to love this concert, this album, this book, whatever. So, but to finish answering your question, number one, the access to the artist. Number two, a second metric is if I get to interview them a second, a third, a fourth time. The record I have with the person I've interviewed the most was Steve Lukather of Toto, who also plays for
Wow.
So I've interviewed him 6 or 7 times, I think. I've interviewed most of the long timers, old timers on Toto, David Pace, Joseph Williams, and of course Steve Lukather.
Wow.
So those are my metrics. If I can get somebody to talk to me more than once, then that means they've taken the restraining order off of me. So bothering them. So.
Well, I know one of the highlights of your career now that's going to be on your resume is guest star on DND Dynamite 80.
That's right. Right.
That's when you know you're at the epitome.
I don't know about that.
I'm going to get that video
or in the pit,
play it on continuous loop, and say, gosh, I wish they got this side instead of the other.
Right. I don't know about that, but it may be in a pit.
Well, what I was
is that what you meant?
No, what I meant was he's having pity on us coming on the show trying to help us.
Okay. I got you. Okay, I was just clarifying that.
I'm going back to my cookie.
Right.
Let's talk recipes. You know?
Yes.
I think, DC, I think this is a good time for you to ask the question of the night. I'm not even going to say a word about this question because I'm going to let you be solo when you ask this question.
Where
I'm
you don't
saying anything.
Right.
Don't even call my name, Brian. Don't even call it. I'm going to be solo and very quiet. Solo Brian is all.
You're not right.
I'm not going to hint. All right.
Right. Right. Well, to try to throw him off a little bit from you leading him down that path, here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead. The other two that we've done in the past.
Explain to Randy first what we're doing.
Okay. All right. With our guest, I don't know what DH has it been. Maybe every 10 we switch it up,
every 10 or 12. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay. So what we've done is we have our post-conference meeting.
DC, can I interrupt you? I want to interrupt you for 1 second.
Go ahead.
and I hope I say the name right, Lorraine Hoffman, has just sent in a comment for Randy and said, "You have a very cool perspective." So cool perspective for Randy on that.
There you go.
With a heart and a smiley face.
Wow.
We don't get that.
Both of them.
That's how I knew
that's pretty good.
That's how I knew she wasn't talking to us.
No. Yeah, we don't get the hearts or the smiley face. So there you go.
So thank you, Lorraine, for
appreciate it, Lorraine.
You, Lorraine.
Seriously. Yeah. But
right, back to you, DC.
Yeah,
we know her for that comment, by the way. So
right. Right.
And I guess I got to pay extra for the heart and the smile.
Right. Yes, it's extra.
Yeah, right.
Now, just so I don't influence anything, I'm going to turn my mic down so low you wouldn't be able to hear.
Geez, stop it. That's crazy.
I feel some subliminal.
Yeah, I think so.
Here, so.
Yeah, but anyway, we have our post-conference meetings each week at the
big budget,
very famous Waffle House.
Yes.
So we got a big board.
When
big
the
board
W
meeting
is out on that sign, it's also called the Awful House.
Yes,
exactly. So the loser has to pick up the tab of what our guest decides through this what would you call it, DH?
Just a choice. I mean, you get a choice.
I know, but we got to figure out a better way of saying that than just a choice. But
yeah, that's
anyway.
not going to happen.
Anyway, our first contest. I guess that's the way you could say it too. Our first one was Motley Crue or Van Halen. Your choice on either or of those. Which
for
one?
me? My
yes.
choice?
Yes.
Well, it'd have to be Van Halen for a couple of reasons. First of all, I mean, God, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, what a monster talent. And he pushed the envelope on not only rock and roll in general, but guitar specifically. Motley Crue, quite frankly, I mean, I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, heck, come on, I hang around with David Lowery. What,
right?
So,
and you eat his cookies.
That's right.
Right.
So, but I remember seeing them on an interview on a news channel, cable news channel, and those guys were so crass and so rude to the female person. I mean, I know it's rock and roll. I know they're a rock and roll band, but I mean, treat people with respect. And dignity. I'm not a big, would I interview them? Yeah, but they're not on my bucket list by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But Van Halen, they were true showmen.
Yeah.
Had tremendous talent. And I mean, like I said, just everything that Eddie brought to the table, from sound, technique, tunings, custom guitar work,
right,
and all that, and then taking it to a stratospheric level. Van Halen, hands down.
Yeah. I got worn out on that one for sure.
Yes.
I don't think I won very many at all. Maybe one or two.
I had a lot of free breakfasts on that one. It was
nice. You did.
Really
now,
nice.
I did catch up pretty good on this next one. Here's the next one of the next 10 or 12 guests that we did when we switched it. Here was the competition on the next one. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Well, I heard Lowry's response on that one. But honestly, I was, gosh, I guess I'm going to be in the same camp as Lowry on this. I think Jackson, hands down. I mean, I loved Prince. I love a lot of the covers of Purple Rain. Prince was a genius. But I had said when Michael was still alive, and it had nothing to do with the fact that he was briefly married to Lisa Marie Presley, that I felt like if anybody was going to come close to the mystique, the talent, the hysteria of Elvis,
right,
it was going to be Michael Jackson. He got pretty darn close.
Right.
I mean, the whole mystique thing, the hyperbaric chamber, the the wearing the mask and, the unique marriages and all that. But, he also came from a very cool family. I had the privilege of interviewing his brother Tito a couple years ago.
That's
And
awesome.
Wow.
what an amazing gentleman, great blues artist too. But
Really? Okay.
Yeah, very much so. His last album is a killer. Not a thriller, but a killer. But yeah, check it out. But I mean, the family was very, despite their dad being the kind of person he was, I think their mother was a saint. And
wow,
to be able to be a stabilizing factor as much as she could, despite what all those kids had to go through.
Sure.
I think that Michael, just from his creativity, his genius in performance, dance, sound, all of that. And the people I've known that I've talked to, like Orianthi, Tito, Steve Lukather, of course, worked on the Thriller album, all that. They all had high marks to say. I mean, Luke worked with Prince too, but that's a tougher call. But I think if a gun was held to my head, I'd go with Michael.
Sure.
So DC, I'm 2-0 right now, but this is the one that counts.
Yeah.
This is for all the marbles.
Right.
So
right.
I'm turning my volume down so low again, so you won't be able to hear me while you ask this question.
Right.
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 So you go ahead with this one.
So this time, what we thought we would do is put a solo artist up against a group. In comparison, just to make just for laughs and giggles. Yeah. So we did Bryan Adams versus Journey.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm probably a little biased on this one. I love Bryan Adams. I mean, he's got some great songs, very benchmark, landmark type of tunes. But I'd have to go with Journey.
Oh, we're out of time. I'm sorry.
So that one is the current one, so it counts.
So I have to buy your refill this week, DC, again.
Right.
And the reason why I go for Journey, I guess is because I've interviewed Jonathan Cain 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Neil Sean, Greg Raleigh, but before he preceded
right.
Jonathan Cain, and they kind of, I love the harmonies. I love the intricacies of the guitar work from Neil.
Yep.
All that kind of thing. So I'd probably, that's even tougher than Prince and Michael, because I love both Bryan and Journey. But since, Jonathan's given me several interviews, I got my pictures taken with him a couple times.
That's awesome.
Things like that. I've been bought,
cool
paid
stuff.
for.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Really awesome. But I mean, really, in all of these, if you really, Bryan Adams or Journey, either one, both amazing talent.
Yeah.
So, kind of what I heard there, DC, was he really preferred Bryan Adams, but since he's interviewed Journey,
you like twisting it, don't you?
Go there, so you still have to buy breakfast Friday morning.
I tell you what, you helped me get an interview with Bryan. And then interview me again. Let's do this question again. Let's see what happens.
Right.
I thought he was going to say he'd buy our breakfast at Waffle House.
Right.
No, I'd take you to Awful House.
Right.
Really? Yeah, that's the better one. Now, see, that's a true Tennessean when you know the Awful House.
Right.
That's a true Tennessee.
Right. Now, not to try to get into your way of getting a hold of some of these folks. That's not where I'm going with this question. Okay. Here's what I want to ask you about.
Okay.
In my experience of trying to get a hold of some of these people, I dread if I get management people involved with it. And I say that for this reason. There was a group that had a few hits in the 80s. We'll not mention them. This is where I was kind of peeved, and I'm trying to understand the business of this, how it works. Simply put, they play small, and then more small venues now. Most people probably would not have a clue who they are. So when I got in touch with them, management says, well, what's your numbers? This number thing wears me out. What's your numbers? Well, I said, we won't even go there because we don't have numbers. Well, send me your information anyway. So I sent the information. They got back to me and said, no, you're definitely too small for us. So I've had a few emails like that from different solo artists or groups. And I'm thinking the same, and I was curious because you kind of said the same thing. You started out with people that haven't been in the limelight for a long time. So that's where I'm confused on how this works. Does that make sense what I'm trying to ask?
Absolutely. I feel your pain on that.
Okay.
So when I first started, and I won't mention names either because it doesn't matter,
That's right. But
I was rudely turned down a lot, and I do mean rudely.
Okay.
By people that were, very active in the county fair circuits and
that's right.
Things like that.
Exactly. So, yes.
And I as somebody near and dear to my heart has said, it's about them, it's not about me. And so I had to, but before that person ever told me that, I had to kind of discover that on my own. And so, first of all, I guess my advice would be to, and you guys obviously have already done this, so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but you just can't let it get to you, because I'll tell you a true story. There is a artist that I've interviewed a couple of times. The first time I reached out to them, their publicist was somebody I didn't know. In fact, I don't even remember now who that publicist was. But I reached out to them and said, hey, can I talk to, I would love to interview so-and-so. They wrote me back and said, much like what you heard, you're not big enough. And I thought, well, I'm 5'10". What do you mean? So,
right.
But
right.
And so I let it go. I was disappointed. I was actually a little ticked
it's
that
human.
I was treated so shabbily, but I didn't say anything about it. I've had friends get out on social media in other areas, not what you guys and I do, but in other things that they're involved in. They get turned down, and then they wet their pants on social media.
Right.
Literally almost a year to the day, publicist friend contacts me. He says, hey, I'm handling, and it was the same artist. He goes, I've just started handling. How would you like to interview them?
Wow.
I said, wow, why didn't I think of that before? I would be delighted. And I did.
Yeah.
And then I interviewed him a year or so later again.
Awesome.
Same publicist. And so, the quote unquote management side, whether it's the personal manager, the booking agent, or the publicist.
Right.
All I can say is roll with the punches, stick with them, treat them with respect. When you finally get the interview with the person, treat them like the rock star they are, or they think they are.
Right.
And just be your top professional self. It never, ever will fail. Ever.
My thing is, with all that, I'll be honest with you, I look at it like this. If they're not able to do the show for whatever reason, I still wish them well. There's no hard feelings. We're just going to move on and do what we do. And I hope they're very successful in what they do.
Right.
I mean, it's, sometimes it is a time thing. Sometimes it's a quality thing, but
well, I've had him set the appointment for the interview and then not show up.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I've had to quit pre-announcing a lot of unless I've got a relationship with these people, and I've got a relationship with a few. I mean, we don't call each other up and say, hey, what are you doing with those darn holiday leftovers or anything like that? But
sure.
I get know, we're familiar with each other. I'll say we're acquaintances, but in the business, we'll say they're closest and dearest friends, right?
Sure.
But you just kind of roll with it. You establish it. You treat them well.
Yeah.
You don't do anything dumb with dumb questions. You don't ambush them. And, it's all about them. Talk about that record, talk about that tour, talk about that movie, whatever.
Right.
And they are the, it's about them. Otherwise, we don't have anything to talk about. Right.
That's right. Well, and we celebrate, the ones that we do hit.
Oh, we
I guess that's the way to do it.
Impressive lineup there, man. That's good stuff. I love those tribute bands, especially because to me that's big business, man. And when they're doing
they're fantastic. You come across some fantastic musicians.
That's right.
And that's the thing, not only musicians, but we've been very blessed with the interviews we've had because we've met a lot of amazing people. Like, we're talking to Randy Patterson right now. 3 years ago before we started this.
Flattery will get you everything. Go ahead.
Right. See, I'm trying to get you to send those cookies back to me.
As soon as I take a bite out of each one of them. So.
Right.
Right.
But no, I mean, in all seriousness, that's a connection we would not have made 3 years ago. And now we watch your material. I enjoy your shows. We're talking to you. So, you've become part of we always say part of the D&D family because, unfortunately, once you're on the show, we just inaugurate you in whether you want to be or not. So.
Right. That's right.
Nobody gets out alive. Right.
No.
I'll gladly subscribe to that.
There you go. But, one of them that's been crazy. It was a crazy setup of how it took place. Was we had, and she was fantastic. Access TV. We had Katie Darrell.
Yes.
That hosts that show, or is one of the hosts on that show. Of the top 10, I think's her show. The top 10 music videos. She does top 10 or whatever the topic is for that week. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she was fantastic. What do? We had a tournament. Yeah. Kind of like what we were talking with you about. We would match up artists, and we went through the whole tournament with her. That was one of the cool things we did with her. But anyway, she was a great guest. Anyway, I get an email. I don't know, several months later, and it's the management for Gina Shock of the Go-Go's. I had never emailed them. And I'm like, where in the world does this come from? Well, he says on there, Gina, that she's a good friend of Katie Darrell, and she's seen your interview on YouTube.
Nice.
And she wants to be on the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Hall of Famer. So, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. So, yeah. So, anyway, it was great. We set it up. We made it work. And she does the interview on her drum set, behind the drum set. She's practicing for some kind of event. So, we interview her in between the practice. So, she's sitting behind the drum set, talking to us through, on the whole interview.
Very cool.
So, yeah. So, I mean, we've had some things like that take place for us out of the blue,
neat.
Things that like, what the heck? How did that happen? So you're right. You get
who would
bummed.
you guys like to interview that you haven't interviewed yet?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Go ahead, DH.
I
hadn't really thought about it.
I haven't either because I enjoy our weekly program and everybody that agrees to come on. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I had the choice between, because our guests are amazing, and I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know if there's anyone out there that I would want to change or differentiate what we do to accommodate. You know what I mean? Because sometimes
that's a great point too.
They get that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're nowhere close to being an expert at doing this.
We are not on Randy's level at all.
No.
Okay, we're just going to tell you.
No.
Yeah, and you're selling yourself too short, guys. You do a good job, and I think it's cool that niche you're carving out there. And it's important. I mean, people love to see that. And, you know, I say keep pushing it. You're doing a great job. You really are.
Well, appreciate that very much.
Yes. That means a lot coming from.
I would say this because they're just one of my favorite groups of all time. And I've been in well, and I didn't tell you this, DH. I've been in contact recently again with some of their management people. And just a super nice guy that kind of, I don't know, maybe he's the PR guy. But anyway, because his line was the same thing. David, I hate to ask you, but management will ask me, what's your number stuff? So I sent him this long thing back saying, I get it. I'm trying to get it. But no, we've already been turned down 2 or 3 times by other people. Our numbers ain't even close to what y'all need. So, but I'm talking about Don Barnes from 38 Special.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
I've gotten several things through some contacts that I've made signed by him, but I would love at some point to interview that guy.
Now, Randy,
but you know what I would do if I were you, and I've done this over the years.
Yeah.
Of course, they want their clients to be in front of as many people as possible, but maybe deflect from that and take some of your more stellar guests that you have interviewed, you know, from the go-go, from everywhere. And you know, I still get turned down rudely sometimes. But you know, they'll, you know, essentially I'll get one of these, you know, who have you interviewed? You know, you can it just reeks from the email. You know, who have you?
Sure.
Who are you?
That's right.
When they do that, I pull out the big names, bigger than their client.
Well,
and just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, and then they, okay. Then I had that. I was on a, during the pandemic, I was asked to watch a streaming show of a particular group, and I'm on good terms with them. You know, and I'll leave it at that because I don't want to reveal who it is. But
sure.
Before, I'd only interviewed one of them at that point. And then I was asked to be part of a little virtual meet and greet after their show. And while they were getting together, I kind of did a little shout out to the guy I had just recently talked to, and heard one of the guys in the background go, "Who is he?" You know, and he's, "Oh, this guy interviewed me a couple weeks ago," and all that. And the guy goes, "Oh, who have you interviewed recently, and who are you going to interview in the near future?" And I think around that time I was going to be, you know, it was going to be an email interview, but it was, you know, Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top.
Wow. Yeah.
When I said that, all of a sudden, you know, there was, you could, I mean, literally physically on the camera.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't recorded. You won't see it anywhere, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, dude, you know,
change of perspective.
That's right. You know, you get some respect that way. Yeah. But back to your deal, I'd get those big names that you have done and put it out there. And, you know, I still get turned down. I've been, you know, and I don't like it either. And depending on how my day's going, I get a little, you know, butthurt about it, but I get over it, you know. So,
well, I feel a little better knowing that's kind of normal in the deal. So,
but on the other end of that, you look at the folks that do come on and like January.
No, I'm not taking anything from that.
No, we have
at all
some amazing guests. And January 10th, we actually have
very blessed.
Yes, because January 10th we have I just went blank. Leonard Skinner, Artemis Powell.
Yeah, I saw it. Man, I'm impressed. That's cool. That's one of those when you listen, you know, you hear that name, you want to yell Freebird, you know.
Yes.
Exactly. You can kind of reference it.
Well, to bring this all full circle, who's playing guitar now? Who took Gary Rosington's place? Damon Johnson, who I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, who David Lowery used to manage. So see,
awesome?
It's a small world.
It is.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It is amazing. But I really do. And like DC and I talk about all the time, we really feel blessed to have met all of the people we've met through this and stay in contact and follow and give shout outs and share because it does kind of become, you build friendships. I mean, you really do. And it's amazing that.
Well, and you follow what they're doing a little closer.
Right.
Definitely. And you kind of win those little successes when you see it for them, that's happened to us in the 3 years we've done this. Is like, oh, okay, yeah, they're putting out another song. Okay. Or, hey, they're playing a bigger venue now, one of these tribute artist bands, or they're starting to play all over the country. That's awesome. I
was 2 or 3 years into Boomerosity. I was still in Dallas, and there was a DJ that was big once upon a time in Dallas, and his name is Redbeard. He was one of the first DJs on satellite radio, and still very, very well respected. He had a syndicated radio program at that time. I think he's retired now, but I was talking with him, and we were just talking about interviews and different things, and he was talking about talking to people before they're big, and he goes, yeah, there was this band that would always come through Dallas, and he goes, they would play this, he named the venue, small little dive bar type place.
Sure.
He said, I would always go see him, and we'd sit at the bar after the show, have a couple of beers and chat. And he goes, they still reach out to me when they come through and da-da-da-da. And he goes, you know who that was? And I said, who? He goes, Sting from the Police.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
That's huge. What a story.
That's awesome.
And, and when you get in with these guys, and, a lot of times, you get the free tickets to the show, and, pre-pandemic, especially, you could go backstage and hang with them a little bit and, get the picture that helps your cred with, when you're promoting stuff. But, at the end of the day, guys, it's about their music. They've had such an impact on our lives.
That's right.
Back when we were kids, and even still. And, I just love, reflecting that love back to them, because
absolutely
they pour it out, man. It's a tough life. I hope they're rich and successful, because we want to see them that way.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, we may not want to pay that $50 to park in downtown Nashville, which I had to do when I went to go see a particular artist. But you know what? That's not their fault. That's
no.
That's that. But yeah, buy their records, buy their merchandise when you're at their shows. Support them, share their music, let people know that they're still around.
Because they've affected you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They've affected you in a good way. No doubt about that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we've got, speaking of, like DH was kind of talking about, where we make these connections with our guests and all this. And I'm gonna send it out to you. But on, what is it? DH 27th December?
Yes, December 27th.
We're gonna actually celebrate 2023. Like we've invited all our guests throughout the year to kind of just drop in that night and chit chat and catch up with us and all that great stuff. Of course, you'll be on that list as well. So you're more than welcome if you can work it out to do that. It'd be fantastic.
Are there going to be any cookies?
DH, you're gonna have to bake some cookies.
I will make.
You better not let Lowry near him, or there won't be any stuff, especially if he watches this broadcast.
Right. DC will buy cookies for every guest
from Waffle House, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes, we're gonna swing in Waffle House and get some coffee to go with it too.
They were sausages, so, now they're cookies. They've just tasted all good.
Right. Well, if I made the cookies, they may end up tasting kind of like that. Right. So there you go. Anyway, so you might not can tell either or which one is which.
Right.
So there you go. So anyway, that's going to be a cool show.
Yeah.
Already got.
I'll plan on diving in on that one.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I'll send you that link and all that, and that's cool stuff. Yeah. And I was telling DH before we got going live that we've probably almost nearly a third of them have responded back. Yeah, send me that link. That's going
to be a fun show.
So that's cool stuff. That's going to be fun.
The people that listen to our show are going to be very excited, because they're hoping that night DC and myself do not have to say a word.
That we don't say much. Well, that's the plan. That's definitely the plan. So there you go. There you go.
That'd be a lot of fun. I don't think I have anything going on that night. I may have to do my hair or something.
Right. There you go.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there. I mean, I got
DH, you might have to wipe your head before instead of wash your hair. So there you go. Well, me too. So there we go.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, tell all the folks, because I know how, but tell all the folks that's on how to follow your stuff and see you on social media and get in contact with you and all that great stuff.
Well, first and foremost, you can see everything I've ever posted ever on boomerosity.com, and that's spelled boomer. Think baby boomer, BOOMER, and then all one word. There's no hyphen, there's no underscore, anything like that. And add to the end of boomer, OCITY. Some people pronounce it Boomer O City, or Boomer City. They don't see the middle. My first logo, actually, I took the smiley, how the smileys were big back in the 70s. I had a little swimming pool drafting program. I used to sell pools in Dallas, and I recreated the smiley, and I put crow's feet at the corners of the eyes, bags under the eyes, wrinkles around the mouth. I mean, I was pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
But it was I hired a kid to make the logo, and it looked like like Cream Magazine or
right.
Peter Max, that kind of artwork.
Right.
Put the smiley right in the middle for the middle O, and people thought it was just a smiley. They didn't realize it was representing the O, the middle O, the third O. And they would just say Boomer City, and they could never find the website. So it's Boomerocity, BOOMEROCITY.com.
There you go.
You can do an put the ampersand in front of that when you go to YouTube. And I'd like to make a special appeal. I am trying to get that YouTube channel monetized. I just went on YouTube this year. It's been on there almost a year. And I want to get all those subscribers on there. So buy a cup of coffee at Awful House when it gets monetized there. But we're on YouTube, and we're on all the major podcast platforms. So the audio will be on there. So if you listen to Spotify, Apple, Pandora, whoever, or Podunk platforms, we're distributed on almost all the podcast platforms that I'm told. I'm going to take their word for it, but they're on all those. So if you are a podcast listener and not a watcher, we're on there too. And on Facebook, you just put on there Boomerosity, and you'll find the Facebook page. We're on Twitter, just recently started on TikTok. I don't milk that all as heavily as I should. They keep changing algorithms, and I personally believe the numbers are bogus. That's just my opinion. I've been able to put two and two together and see where things don't add up in certain ways.
There you go.
So
interesting.
I do what I do because I love it.
Yeah.
I've done it for almost 15 years now, and I'll just keep doing it because it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Sure.
Definitely.
But those are all the platforms. And if you want to drop me a note, you can write me at Randy, RANDY, at boomerocity.com. So
fantastic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna pretty much put a bow on it for another episode of DND Dynamite 80.
Is that a Christmas reference?
It is, because I saw the Christmas tree in the background. See, I changed.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, there you go.
I'm impressed. That was pretty slick, man.
I was thinking on the fly there. Look, see, for one time.
I just like to steal your guitars that are behind you, man. I don't even play, but I would love to have them.
It's a really nice setup. I actually have my doctorate degrees above them framed up in between each guitar. So
Doctor, whoa.
Yes,
I can only say a MBA. That's as far as I went. And that's impressive. I got mine back in the 90s when the formula was MBA equals BMW, but I never got the BMW.
There you go.
Well, yes, I going into the education realm went in late, but I decided if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
He jumped in with both feet. That's for sure.
We took care of that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of DND Dynamite 80s. We'd like to thank Randy Patterson.
Yeah, hang in there with us, Randy.
Remember, folks, you can find us, DND Dynamite 80s, on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker Radio, Radio Republic, on YouTube, on the Twitter, out in the Twitter sphere, Instagram, on the TikToker, on Facebook, and, of course, our website, DND Dynamite 80s on all of that. And Google Podcasts. Anywhere we can put these two ugly mugs, we're putting them out
where
there.
They haven't taken us down yet.
If you would like
that's
to order,
coming, possibly.
Yes. If you would like to order a special Christmas present, send me $5 and I'll do this.
Right.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah.
$5.
Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I end off every week before I throw it over to DC to play us out with our sponsors, remember, it doesn't cost anything extra to be kind. So be kind to each other out there. Randy, thank you so much for joining us. DC?
Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Hey, amen. Amen, brother. Hey, by the way, I'm glad Randy is on here tonight, because that just kind of works out and flows smoothly when he brought all that up, especially when he starts out with the Elvis tree topper. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Speaking of Elvis, December the 18th, we will not be on next Wednesday because this guy has to get foot surgery. So I'll be out of it, I'm sure.
They're finally going to take it out of your mouth for once.
Yes, yes. That's what they're going to try to do. Okay. I don't know how successful that will be. Yes.
There goes your soul food diet.
Yes.
Right.
So, right. So anyway, next week's show will be on December the 18th. That'll be Monday night. We're going to have our tribute show to Elvis.
Yes.
All right.
So we're going to have Mr. Randy Pelton, who is a Elvis tribute singer, an actor, great talent, by the way. He'll join us along with Alicia Dean, who is works for Elvis Presley Enterprises and is on. She does part-time DJing with Elvis Radio on Sirius XM.
Is she the curator with him?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to talk to her. I'm jealous.
Yes. So
Let's
Alicia
talk
Dean,
offline about that.
she confirmed it today and verified that she's in and all that good stuff, and excited about being on. So that's going to be a cool show. That's going to be fun stuff.
That's next week?
Next Monday. Yes,
All right.
18th.
I'm going to watch it. I want to watch it.
It's going to be a very good show. Very good show. And then, of course, as Randy has already been invited to be on, December the 27th, we'll take a few days off for something called Christmas. And come back on the 27th and do our end of the year show.
Yes.
And it's going to be, the guest will be on display. Our guest, fabulous guests throughout the year, going to get on. We'll chit chat and have a good time. So that's what's coming up next couple of shows, man.
Yes. And DC, we are booked out into almost all the way through April now, correct?
I'm booked. We're booked all through April, and I'm starting on May now.
Yes. So we want to thank everybody for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very blessed. Very blessed. Okay. All right. Let's get the sponsors in here and we'll get on out of here. How about it?
All right.
D&D Dynamite 80s would like to thank their sponsors, Hudson's Flags and More, PJG Marketing, and the Nesting Project of Smyrna, Tennessee. You can find all these great folks online. You most certainly can.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Randy Patterson, we'll see you here in a couple of weeks, my friend. We appreciate you spending some time with us. And, we will not be strangers, man. We appreciate your time.
Well, if I can be of any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. I mean, if you don't have my phone number, I'll email it to you. But
fantastic.
Anything I can do to help, I'd be delighted to. I really would. And this was a lot of fun. Thanks. You guys are great hosts. And like I said, just keep plugging away at it. Man. This thing with Alicia, man, I'm impressed. I would love to talk to her. That's I've interviewed several of Elvis's backup people and a relative or two as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm always on Elvis, man. So.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can help make that connection, Randy. So
we'll see if we can
doubt.
Work it out. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything I can do with any of the people you want to talk to, I'll guide you any way I can on that. So
fantastic.
We appreciate
fantastic.
it.
Well, folks, like I always try to kind of end the show with, once again, this is D&D Dynamite 80s, weekly podcast most of the time on Wednesday night, 7:30 Central Standard Time. By the way, that's what they say on Sirius Elvis Radio is Elvis time. It's Central Standard Time. So there you go. In God's country, as Randy says, he's on the Eastern Standard Time and I never could get used to that in the 26 years I lived there. 11 o'clock news. That's too late for me to be on the 11 o'clock news to watch. So there you go. We have it at 10 o'clock here. So
and you still
that works a little better for my time period. But anyway, that was always hard to get used to. It was like the news at night on 11 p.m. news. No, too late for me. So there you go. As DC always kind of ends the show, keep playing them 80s, and we're going to see you next week, Monday night,
yes,
special
Monday
show
night.
Monday night, the 18th, our Elvis tribute show. So
See you
take
Monday
care,
night,
folks. We appreciate you checking in with us, and we hope to see you on Monday.
Yes, see you Monday night. Randy,
all right. Thank you, Randy.